to be there for me, Swaz?
I don't think so.
All right. Does that look good equipment for Fang?
I don't know.
Do you think that looks like good equipment, Fang?
I think it looks absolutely great. It looks
Perfect.
fantastic. Nice work.
How are you doing, Rachel?
I'm great. How are you guys?
Great. All right. So we have a whole list of questions to ask you.
I'm so excited. I wish I could see them. My page isn't loading, so I'm sitting here blind. You're just going to have to read them to me.
All right. Well, we'll just start at the top.
All right.
Stephen Reuser asks, did you receive any kind of cool goodies after working on Final Fantasy XIII or 13.2 from Square?
Any kind of cool goodies? No, I didn't, actually. But I did manage to procure a few Fang Kai dolls at Comic-Con that same year.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
What kind of dolls did you get? Just like Fang dolls?
I got her action figure.
Nice. Candace, which is Hilaris in the chat, which you can't see, she asks, what was the funniest blooper that happened on the set?
The funniest blooper. There weren't too many, to be honest. A lot of times you would have to change a couple of lines just because when things are directly translated from Japanese, they often don't really translate into things we say in English. So we got to rewrite a few things. It's not really rewrite them, but just modify them somewhat. I would say if I had to classify anything as a blooper, it was when I was trying to match a scream and I started to choke in the middle of it because it was pretty extended and pretty painful. And luckily they saved those for the end of the day so that you don't totally blow out your voice and ruin the rest of the session. But it was sort of like, ah! So.
That's funny. Do you, when you guys voice act, do you play off of each other, or is it you really just reading the lines by yourself, or do you have someone like Georgia with you in the same room, or?
I wish we had gotten to read together because, obviously all the dialogue is in whatever scene you're doing, it's all there.
Yeah.
No, everything I recorded alone.
Really?
So, yeah, and it was kind of lonely, to be honest. I mean, the director was there, the engineers were there, the producer was there, and an actual Australian was there for quality control. But no, I didn't actually get to act with any of my fellow characters, so I had to just pretend they were there. And luckily, I had a lot of video stuff to pay attention to, at least, so I could see what was going on in the scene. But no, a lot of that it was use your imagination type of stuff.
Did you ever get to meet them?
Sorry?
Did you even get to meet them?
Oh yeah, I ran into Allie one day when I was heading out and she was heading in, and I ran into. You know what? I didn't meet Troy and Georgia until after everything was done. Allie decided to host a party for the cast members, which I thought was lovely because otherwise I wouldn't have gotten to meet them. I never did get to meet Saz or Hope.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Not even on 13.2?
Not even on 13.2. I was only on 13.2 for one day.
Yeah.
Broke my heart.
Yeah. Timothy James Comfort asks, who is your favorite character from Final Fantasy XIII other than Fang, and why?
Well, that's too hard to do.
That's tough.
Well, as far as just out-and-out villains go, I would have to say Bartandalus is pretty damn nasty.
Mm-hmm.
And Nora was pretty nasty. I'm not Nora, Jill the bot.
Yeah, she didn't stay around long enough.
No, she didn't stay. I gotta say, I don't really have a favorite, but Saz, I would say, got a lot of the good one-liners.
Yeah, she did. Yeah, he did.
Kind of wisecracker.
All right, Nick Vengren asks, how did you get started in voice acting, and do you have any tips for hopeful voice actors?
Oh, well, I could go on and on about that for days. How did I get started? I grew up watching cartoons and mimicking songs and mimicking advertising. And I was fortunate enough to sit in on a dialect class with a coach named Larry Moss, who's one of the foremost dialect coaches in the world. It was just one of those off things that I got very lucky doing. I didn't really take into account that I could start doing this seriously for a living until later. So I got started for real. I mean, I first started taking classes when I was a teenager, and then I took another class about maybe 17 years ago, and then I started just pursuing it for real about 12 years ago. And, the best way to get started is to do your homework, start taking classes. And what's nice now is that there's so many more classes than there ever were, and they're all very specialized. Through that, you'll meet other people. We'll guide you to other classes, or we'll introduce you to people. The best thing I could do would be to say practice. Read copy from magazines. Find where your voice lives, and if you have characters that you can do them well. It's really not enough just to be able to do funny voices or have a distinctive voice anymore. You have to be a good actor. I would say, above all else, have an acting background, have a performing background, do improv, do sketch comedy, do stand-up, or anything where you are performing, because you have to be a good actor to be a voice actor. There is no either or.
How long would a typical session last?
It depends. It depends on what you're doing. A regional commercial, I've been in the booth for 10 minutes. Your average video game session will run about 4 hours, depending. There are some dubbing sessions that will run all day, and you may be doing several episodes of something. It really does vary.
All right. Cushy, which many of the people in chat know, she asks, does it take a specific kind of person to be a voice actor? Which I guess you might have already answered.
Well, you'll have to be more specific than that. What kind of specific person? You have to be comfortable performing, and you have to be comfortable using your voice, and you have to have good diction, I think.
Yeah.
You can't be shy, even though it's not like you're performing on stage. But you have to be very committed, and you have to be very dedicated. Acting is not a hobby; it is a career if you really want it to be.
Do you practice a lot, like when you're alone or anything like that, or do you just go to like classes and stuff?
I practice sometimes. I have so many voice actor friends too, because it's such a relatively small community. So inevitably, when we all get together, we're all going to be playing audio poker to a degree. I'm always practicing in one way or another.
Cool.
Yeah.
Peter Q. K. I'm not sure how to pronounce the last name. He asks, did you ever actually play Final Fantasy XIII? If so, did you enjoy it?
I loved it. It's beautiful. I never finished the game. It's anybody who's played it and beaten it knows that even the best players probably averaged about 50 hours, 60 hours.
Yeah.
I played with a friend of mine, and I will admit that I played for so long and still didn't even get to meet my character yet, because it was so
really?
difficult. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I've cheated and walked all the way through, but no, I have played for a little while, and I really, really enjoyed it. It's gorgeous. I mean, video games now are like 60-hour movies. The graphics are incredible. The movement is incredible. The shadow play, the contour. So it's, I really do. I think it's more like a cinematic experience, and it's such a joy just to be able to watch that and engage with it.
Okay, and then Rancine Samuel asks, how did you get started in nerdy?
Yeah, we did cover that.
All right, Jermaine
If at the end people want tips, I can also give some websites and some books, which are very, very helpful and comprehensive as well.
Oh, yeah, you could do that.
Yeah.
Jermaine Sandiford asks, what made you want to audition for Fang? Or was that the character you auditioned for?
It was. Well, it wasn't even so much that I'll tell you what it was. This audition came through my agency, like so many of them do, and there were numerous characters to audition for. A lot of times we'll get auditions, and you'll have to look through, and it'll say multiple characters, do however many you want, up to, a reasonable amount. And I flipped through, and there were a lot that I knew I wasn't right for, but I saw this, and it called for an Australian accent, and I thought, well, I can do that. So that's actually what first drew me in. I also auditioned for Lightning, and I auditioned for Hope. And I auditioned for Jill, and I think a couple of ancillary characters as well.
For Hope.
Hmm.
That's funny.
I auditioned for Lightning.
Oh, it doesn't sound like you got the stream up.
I do. I'm actually. How do I mute that? Because now the feed.
The bottom left of the video, there's a play, and then there's a mute button right next to it.
The bottom left what?
Of the video screen, the video portion of it. You see a little play button or a pause button, and then next to it's an audio button.
I'm actually not seeing it. Sorry.
Do you see the video? Is it playing?
Wait, hang on one second. My my computer actually needs to be steamrolled, but
We all go through that.
yeah.
Not seeing it. Sorry.
Hang on, it'll just take 1 second. I do see it, but it's not
It's not
responding.
clicking. Or you could just, well, that probably won't work because then you wouldn't hear me. I was going to say you could just mute your speakers.
Sorry.
My apologies.
Uh-oh.
I do see it, but it's not.
Is it freezing on you? You could just mute your speakers.
Ugh, this is making me crazy.
Can you close it?
I'm just gonna close it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's not responding, but whatever.
Yeah,
Technology, we're enslaved to it, and then it
Yeah.
messes with us.
It's really difficult sometimes. You could just put headphones on, but that wouldn't help because then you hear yourself repeat.
Yeah,
Oh, did you get it closed then?
I'm just gonna close it. Yeah.
Not yet.
I don't know why it's not responding, but
Yeah,
technology, we're enslaved to it, and then it messes with us.
it's really difficult. Headphones on, but that doesn't help you hear yourself. Can you hear yourself?
Yeah,
Did you get it closed then?
I'm just gonna close it. Yeah.
Not yet. Maybe I can call it back.
sorry, give me 1 second.
Oh, I didn't know you could hear me still.
Yeah, no, I can hear you. It just, my computer's making me so angry that I can't even speak right now.
Someone, we gotta get her a new computer, everybody.
Yes, let's start a Kickstarter campaign.
Hey, you don't tell them that; they'll do it.
That would be fantastic. But it's not their responsibility.
Sorry, give me 1 second.
Yep, they're all going crazy. They said they'd donate.
I hear you. It's just, my computer's
But
making.
then they'd want you to be a regular on call.
That'd be a fair price.
Yeah.
Yes, let's start a Kickstarter campaign.
Hey, don't tell them that. Maybe you can just close the browser.
That's what I'm trying to do, and it won't close.
That would be fantastic.
All right.
But it's not.
I think that, can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but I can hear.
All right. It finally closed, so this should stop in a second.
Okay, cool. All right, where were we?
Sorry, guys. My sincere apologies.
Nah, they're gonna forgive you.
I hope so.
All
Gosh.
right.
Okay.
All right, let's go back to it then. Racine.
We're in.
What's that?
No more feedback. No more echo. We're in. We're
Yeah,
good.
we're all good. Racine Samuel asks, what would you say is your greatest achievement of your career?
Well, I'd like to think that I haven't stopped here, but I will say that this is a huge landmark. She really put me on the map. I mean, I've been doing this, again, professionally, solidly for 12 years, but this was the first thing that really put me there, really gave me some recognition. And to be part of the Final Fantasy Pantheon is really an honor and really exciting because this sort of goes down in their history. But I've done a lot since then that I'm really proud of also. I recently just, I don't know about how many anime fans are out there, but about 2 months ago, the Hellsing Ultimate Volumes 5 through 8 were released.
Oh, nice.
And I was the voice of Zoran Blitz.
Oh, I bet
Which
there's
was-
some fans here of that series.
That was awesome. And I recently also voiced another villainess, on if anybody are fans of Kaijudo Rise of the Duel Masters on the Hub. I played Empress Megaria, who is also extremely nasty, but I don't know if it gets any nastier than a Nazi vampire. So I'm very proud of those as well. But I would say, Fang she'll always have a special place in my heart.
Cool. Yeah, I might go watch Hellsing now.
Yeah, please do.
Everybody
It's
in Houston's
very bloody.
going to.
It's very bloody and very disturbing.
Yeah. Ellen Dublin asks, are there any similarities between you and Fang?
If that's the Ellen Dublin that I'm thinking of. Hi. I'd like to think there are. She's a lot more physically agile than I am. Actually, I'm pretty agile, but I can't jump off of, scorpion-shaped spaceships
Yeah.
and dive thousands of feet to the earth and land on my feet. What I love about her, she's extremely loyal. She's extremely protective of her friends. She would go to the ends of the earth for them. She is a woman of her word. She's adventurous. God, I hate the word maverick, but can't really think of anything else. And she's very honest. She does what she says she's going to do. And, I'd like to think that I share those qualities with her. And to look like her, I would need to grow about 5-6 inches, grow my hair out, change my eye color, change my outfit. But beyond that, I really did connect with her. I liked her because she was unlike any of the other, so many women in video games unfortunately fall into a lot of stereotypes, a lot of archetypes. They're bimbos, or they're little girls, or they're damsels in distress, or they're out and out villains, or whatever. She fell into her own category.
She's actually the strongest character in the whole game.
She's extremely strong, and I like that she was initially written as a man, and they changed her, which is very cool, but she still remained, they didn't really change her personality to be overly feminine. She's still a woman, but she's a very strong woman.
Yep. Well, actually, this question's kind of irrelevant, but Tori Castle asks, what was it like to voice in a different accent? But your accent sounds pretty legitimate.
It was awesome. Actually, dialects that's one of my fortes. That's something that I always have picked up on, even since I was a child, when I would go to the East Coast, or I'd go visit my cousins in the South or something. Just by osmosis, I would start picking up the accent. So, and I'm an etymology geek, and I'm a linguistics geek, and I'm not a professional linguistician or whatever, linguist by any stretch, but I do love dialects, and Australian is one of my favorites. I've spent some time in Sydney, and as of recently, just this year, I went to the Manifest Con down in Melbourne. So, and I love my Aussies. So it was great. What's nice is that you don't really have to think in another language, but you do have to maintain. And also, their idioms are different. A lot of their phrases are different. Their slang is different. So you have to kind of bear that in mind too, which I think is why also they had an Australian in the room to keep me in line, as it were, in case a pronunciation went the wrong way.
Sounds like a lot of homework.
Not as much as you'd think, but if I was actually speaking in another language, that would be, that'd be a little more brain power. I can read a lot of different languages, but if I'm not fluent in it, I have to work a lot harder. And I think the key is when you're doing a voiceover in another language, you want to be real fluent first, or have the dialect down really well, so you don't have to be thinking so much about the dialect, so that you can focus on your performance.
Yeah.
So it is sort of like dual action.
Huh. All right, this question, there's no name attached to it. Is there any... Oh, this is a special question from us. Is there any information you can give us all regarding Lightning Returns? Will Fang return?
I cannot answer anything as much as I wish I could. I am completely ignorant, for real. I was hoping. I had my eyes and ears open like everyone else. The way Final Fantasy XIII 2 ended seemed to point in that direction, but honestly, I have no idea. It looks beautiful. It looks incredible. It looks like a total departure from the other two.
Yeah.
But I really don't know anything else about it. They are notoriously tight-lipped, as you guys know.
Oh, man. That's where this whole movement came from, is because of that.
I know. It's and as I understand, there are some other projects, I think, that have been in the works for years. that people are going, when is that coming out? When is that coming out? And boy, do I wish I knew. They were pretty closed-mouthed about it, and I didn't even know I was going to be working on 2 until probably about 4 days before I went into session.
So you're familiar with Final Fantasy Versus 13 and
it's
Type
mine.
0? Are you familiar with both those titles?
Uh-oh.
Can you hear me?
You guys there?
I hear you. I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? What good timing. You there, Rachel? Rachel. Alright, we're calling back. Such timing, right when I asked that question. Square is in my computer. They cut us off.
Well, this sucks.
We're trying to connect back. I don't...
So I'm just going to send you the questions that chat puts up, the actual legitimate questions.
Okay. I have a question of my own.
So everyone just post the question once, I will get to it. Don't post it again and again and again. If it's a good question, I'll give it to Chris. If it's not a good question, I won't.
Come on, Rachel. Yep.
We're redialing her right now.
I just tried again.
Psycho, that's actually Chris's question.
Come on. I think your computer froze up.
Her opinion. Sure, why not? She answered that already.
Trying here, guys. Oh, I think we got her. Are you there? You there, Rachel? Says she's connected. Hello? I hope she's not hacked. That'd be terrible. Maybe she's on mute? Good thinking, Solo.
Hello?
Can you hear me? She can't hear me, but we can hear her.
I have no idea what just happened.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. It was so weird. It just dropped.
Oh, odd. Yeah, I was talking and then boom,
I-
you're gone.
And I was talking, and all of a sudden I was like, hello?
Ah. It was funny because we asked a pretty important question, then you poof.
We did. I thought maybe we got shut down or something.
Yeah, I think Square, they did something.
You never know. I'm not entirely convinced that people haven't surreptitiously planted chips in our necks while we sleep and that we're not being tracked at all times.
Oh, I would love to talk about that topic one day.
We could. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but with everything, knowing everything now, like when I'm in the middle of the desert and my phone somehow knows exactly where I am, I'm like, okay, that's creepy.
Yeah. Conspiracy Hour with Rachel Robinson, the voice voice of Fang. All right, well,
So was it the same question that we were in the middle of, or you had a different one?
The question was, are you familiar with Final Fantasy Versus 13 and Type 0?
I'm not. I'm not really, actually. I should be, but I'm not.
Yeah, they were both titles that Square announced in 2006, and we've all been waiting patiently for that long. And they don't give us any information on them. Type 0 is actually out in Japan, and they were bringing it to the U.S. Well, the rumor was they fully voiced it, and then they just halted it, and that's where our petition comes from, because we want
That's very strange. Yeah, actually, Versus I've out for a long time, long before before 13 came out, and Type 0 I actually had heard about a little bit, but I don't really know much about them. It's a very good question, but as I understand it, they run a pretty tight empire over there. So
yeah, so that's where Project Crystallis comes from.
I see.
And let's see, what other questions did we get here? Ezekiel asked, I wonder if the voice actors learn with the characters they play. What's the worthiest thing you have learned with Fang? It's a difficult question.
What's the worthiest thing I've learned? What does that mean? Just from her experience? What's the moral of her story, do you mean?
Maybe if you learned anything from the character, I guess.
What it seems to me, the whole moral of the story, if you have to boil it to one thing, is that you sacrifice anything for your friends and for the good of your planet.
Yep.
If you're trying to save the planet, loyalty, togetherness. Let's see, camaraderie. Going it alone is not the answer, but sometimes you have to make tough choices, and if you do what you really feel is right, then all will turn out well.
So
and
did it hurt turning into Ragnarok?
Yes, it was extremely painful.
Was it?
Didn't you hear it?
Yeah, how do you do that kind of voice acting? That's got to be difficult. Do you feel silly?
Well, a lot of times you will make a noise and they'll modify it. They'll pitch it up, they'll pitch it down, or they'll sweeten it in some way, and that they add a lot of filters to it. It was sort of I don't know why I was thinking about this when I was doing it, but I was thinking about those Scooby-Doo monsters in the old haunted amusement park.
Yeah. Wow, that's a throwback.
Well, sure. Yeah, I don't want to date myself too much, but say yeah.
I used to watch Scooby-Doo.
My cartoon history goes back a while.
Omcron asks, what is your opinion? Oh, we already did that. Solo asks, have you been contacted or contracted for any other Final Fantasy projects? You might not be able to speak on it.
Even if I was, I wouldn't be able to. So, unfortunately, I'm going to have to cut that question off at the knee. But, yeah, so far it's been pretty quiet. But if I was, I would not be able to answer that.
Ruru asks, throughout your career, what would you say was the most fun experience you've ever had while voice acting?
Oh, boy. There's so many. I will say, as much as I loved working on this project, it is so much fun to work with your fellow actors, because you don't often get a chance to. People, and I have a lot of friends who work on series, and they say it's, they look forward to those days during the week because it's just, you're literally getting to play with your friends and get paid for it. I will say that actually the same director from Final Fantasy directed me on Celebrity Deathmatch.
Really?
Which was, yeah, that was a little while ago. It was a few years ago, but that was great because I think there were about 7 or 8 of us just in a row at our microphones, and I love that because it really is, you get to play off other people and you're doing all the lines together, so it might draw out a totally different performance, and you just laugh and laugh and laugh. As of late, when I got to work on Kaijudo, I was in the room with people like Dee Bradley Baker and Phil Lamar and Kari Wahlgren, and it's like, they're blazingly, ridiculously talented and all so funny and so nice. So getting to be in that room was a real treat, and it's kind of sucks when it's over because you're like, well, I don't want to go home. I want more of this. That was, it's always fun to work with other actors, but honestly, any day that I get to work is fun.
Did you? What character did you play on Celebrity Deathmatch?
I was, I think it was episode 8 of whatever that last season was. I was Pamela Anderson in a battle with Tommy Lee. And I also got to play Vern Troyer, who battled against Wee Man, who actually came in to play himself that day. Bit of a stretch.
So you got to meet him.
I did. I did.
How was that?
It was interesting. Huh. He's pretty much exactly what you would expect. You know, he was very nice and very funny, real outgoing. And, you know, he had a lot of fun. Let's put it that way. We all had a good time. That was fun because I never expected to get cast as Pamela Anderson. I don't, you know, this is where my voice lives, and her voice is way up here. But, you know, who knows? If they cast you, you don't say no to it. So,
did you win both matches?
I won against Tommy Lee, and Wee Man kicked my ass. Yeah, I lost that one. I didn't even make it to the ring in that one. Those episodes actually, I believe, are still available online, either on MTV, on the MTV2 site, or MTV. But yeah, they are still. I think full episodes can still be watched, and cool. I think maybe on iTunes as well.
Here's an interesting question. Stardust asks, "Have you ever been asked a question as Fang?" I guess calling you Fang.
Well, I mean, I guess for purposes like these, when I do her voice, but I think most people differentiate that it is me and not her. I guess if, occasionally if I'm on a panel at a con or something, when somebody said, you know, do your favorite line as Fang, I guess, yeah, once or twice I have been asked that. What would you do? Like they say, who, if you could battle anyone, I was thinking, who would it be? And it was pretty recent. I said I would be Fang, and I would pit myself against Mr. Freeze, Arnold Schwarzenegger's Mr. Freeze, because I think that'd be a pretty fair fight, and I'd like to think that she would win.
All right. Are there any other characters that you wish you could have played? Asks Ozma.
In that game or ever?
That's all we have here. So maybe answer both.
Well, I would say I'm pretty happy with the role that I got in Final Fantasy XIII. I wouldn't trade that for the world. No, I don't even think... I think it all worked out exactly as it was supposed to. As for other roles that I've read for, you know, I'd always love to play an iconic superhero. That's always high on anyone's list, I would think. Yeah, she's or somebody really, you know, Wonder Woman or Emma Frost or who else did I read for? Black Widow. Any of that stuff would be fantastic. I'm gunning for a place in either the Marvel or DC universe. Hell, you know, I wouldn't. It doesn't have to be iconic, but I'd like it to be.
Yeah. Could we maybe ask you to test out a couple voices here?
Well, it depends, I guess.
Quizette asks, since you were trying out for Hope and Lightning, could you possibly try their voices that you used in your tryout?
Oh gosh, I don't even remember what I did. I think, you know, again, and if you listen back, it makes sense that they cast the people that they cast. I occasionally read for, you know, younger boy roles, but I think I read Hope's voice something like this, you know, tried to make him sort of earnest and not sure what was going on, but still trying to be strong. And cool. it didn't really work. Lightning was just more of a modified version of myself. You know, she didn't sound too different from this, and you know, and it went to Allie as it should because she was wonderful. Yeah, a lot of times I don't even remember what I do, although I do save almost all of my auditions, so that if I book something, I can go back and listen to it, and if I don't book it, I can go back and think, oh, that's why they didn't pick me. Yeah. But, you know, it's just good to have for reference. Anything that you try out is worth, you know, just hang on to it, because you can also hear yourself changing and getting better. Or you hear yourself that's something you might never have thought of. So, yeah.
Satua Dream asks, what is your current convention lineup, if any? Are you planning on going to the San Diego Comic-Con?
I've gone to Comic-Con every year for about the last 7 years, except for last year because it was at the same time as Kineticon in Hartford. And they coincided, and Kineticon had asked me. So that was my third year there. I'm actually trying to line some cons up now. I was at Anime Vegas this year. I was at Manifest. I was at Kineticon. I just went to ALA, but more as a civilian. And I was at Anime Expo as well. I don't actually have that full schedule lined up yet. I'm working on that. But I would like to go to Comic-Con this year, and I'm planning on it because luckily it doesn't fall at the same time as Connecticut.
Oh, so nothing soon anyway.
Sorry?
Nothing coming up anytime soon.
Nothing immediately. I'm trying to work a few things out. There's some things that I'm trying to iron out at the moment, but nothing that is announceable at the moment, no.
All right. Cyrus asks, have you ever been casted in a voice role that you turned down?
No.
No?
We don't turn down work. The only time I've ever had to turn anything down is if I physically can't do it, if I'm not going to be there, which even now is not really the greatest reason because there are so many on-the-go applications you can bring. I bring my laptop with me. I have a mic, but the only things I ever turn down is if it's something that really does not coincide with my own personal beliefs, and not even having to do with nothing like religion. If it's something that just goes against my human principles, but for the most part, no, I've not turned anything down.
All right, I'm going to ask my own personal question.
Okay.
It's on a different level. There's a
All
lot
right.
of speculation across the internet between Fang and Vanille about their relationship, whether they're simply really close friends, or are they somehow sisters and related, or is there a love interest there? There's a huge debate.
Oh, Chris, I've never heard that question before.
Oh, really? Well, good.
No, I'm kidding.
Oh, really?
No, it's probably the question I get asked the most, as a matter of fact.
Well, good.
It's no, I mean, and it's a fair question. That is something that, in my mind, and when I watch it, my perception has always been that they are like family or our family. They were raised together. They're from the same planet. They're from the same area or whatever it is. I think that the developers have created something that can be speculated on.
Mm-hmm.
And there's even some moments in the game where the other characters react as though there is something going on.
Yep.
I've always viewed it as a sisterly sort of relationship, and that they, are best friends. Like, I have friends who are like my sisters and brothers. The friends are the family you choose. So that's how I've always viewed it, but it doesn't mean that it is or that it isn't. I do think it is open to speculation, and I think that's what's nice about it, is that people can take it how they want to.
Yeah. All right. Let's see here. Have you played any other Final Fantasy games? If so, what was your favorite? That's asked by Robin.
I haven't, but I think I actually really need to. If I could clone myself, I would probably do it about 3 or 4 times. Have one of them watch all the shows that I've been missing, one of them watch all the movies I've been missing, one of them play all the games that I've been missing.
What kind of shows?
No, I haven't. I really haven't. I hear that a lot of people's favorite is 7 and 10. I hear that often.
Yeah.
And I do see similarities between certain characters. Not that they're recycled per se, but there do start to become familiar faces and outfits and personas, for sure. And if anybody played 13-2, I thought Noel, his outfit was very similar to Fang's. That was just something I noticed.
Actually, yeah, it was.
It was
should have just been Fang, though.
Well, I was sure hoping for a longer stay in that game, for sure. But you know what? I'm glad I got to come back for even a little while.
That was a letdown. We all wanted more Fang and Vanille.
I did too. Well, you never know. I mean, maybe there'll be an offshoot, which would be lovely.
Yeah, that'd be cool. So you mentioned you watch a lot of shows. What kind of shows are you watching right now?
I try to. I don't have a lot of time for TV, and and if I allowed myself, I'd probably never leave the house.
We all would.
I know. Even some of the greatest shows that people are watching. I'm so not caught up on all the stuff like Breaking Bad and Mad Men and Walking Dead, Homeland. I've caught a lot of those, but I'm not fully caught up. I do watch some sitcoms, but not a ton. The Daily Show I watch. Sometimes I watch Real Time with Bill Maher. I love HBO. I love their original programming. Their movie schedule sometimes confuses me, but I think they're phenomenal. Yeah, and I would if I could stay awake to catch up on everything, I would watch more TV. But I don't watch a ton.
Neither do I. I don't even have cable.
Well, that's good. That's probably saving you. And I can't, every now and then I will torture myself by watching something like Hoarders, and then I think I can't do this because this is awful.
See, I don't even know what that's about, but isn't that where people just hoard stuff in their homes?
Yeah, but it goes much deeper than that. Some reality TV is just it makes me worry.
It's like poison for the mind.
Absolutely it is. And there's nothing, those kind of shows I'd say are more real than the more entertainment-oriented reality shows. And at a certain point, I just have to say no. I can't I'll never get this hour of my life back.
Yeah. Yeah, well, there's a lot of people that Twitch is becoming so popular that a lot of people just come here and watch us. We stream games all day, and a lot of people say they just like watching us more than anything else.
Well, good. Well, you know what? I'm a firm believer in human interaction.
Yeah.
And I do think that, with the advent of Facebook and Twitter and every social feed ever and our cell phones and iPads and what have you, they're all amazing. But at the same time, I think we're with all these ways to stay in contact, we're still getting farther away from actual human contact.
Yeah, there's such a disconnect between, so many people in the younger generation, they'll send a text. You can't get anybody on the phone. They don't have social skills anymore because of a lot of this.
I agree, and I'm not against the telephone. I still like a good phone call. I still actually remember having to correspond to friends via the U.S. mail.
Yeah.
And I still love a postcard, man. It's a really nice thing to do. And of course, we don't have to. That's what's nice about email. But at the same time, there is something more personal about that, about the written word and actually seeing someone in person. Texting is great for when you are in a place that you can't talk. Or if it's something really quick, you don't have to make a phone call. But it's a shame that so many people just resort to that as a default, I guess.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But, and that's actually why I like going to cons as well. I mean, I meet so many people. I get to meet some of my fellow voice actors whose names I know, but I might not necessarily get to work with. And, I do think it's important to engage. But but you're right. A lot of people, with all these, 17 different portals of communication, but not actually speaking, that says a lot.
Yeah. I was actually having a conversation with my dad the other day, and I was thinking about back in I guess it would be the mid-'90s. When's the first cell phone? Late 90s? Somewhere around there?
Well, if you're talking about the first, the ones that look like cinder blocks.
Yeah. Well, that was...
Yeah, I don't know. And then I remember when I was in high school, some of my girlfriends had car phones, but at that time they were just called car phones. They weren't like a separate unit. It was installed in the car.
Yeah.
And that was very, very high tech and very fancy.
Well, I was talking about I couldn't imagine if you made plans with somebody on a house phone, and then you go meet them, and something happens in the middle of it, and one of them's stuck waiting, and you never know. You can't just pick up your phone and say, "Hey, where are you?"
No, exactly.
You have to go back home.
Were there. People actually had to leave messages on an answering machine. Remember pagers?
Oh, man.
Which I always thought were funny if you weren't a drug dealer or a doctor.
Yeah.
Because someone would page you, and then you'd have to pull over and find a payphone.
I know some people that still have a pager.
I never needed one, thank goodness. I mean, they're kind of this funny novelty to me, but and it is convenient having the cell phone, but also at the same time, you're always reachable. And I remember sometimes you'd call and the line would be busy, and that was just that. You had to suck it up.
Yeah.
And it would be busy for hours. So, I mean, I don't miss that, but at the same time, I think it's overwhelming. It's overwhelming. I don't want to be reachable 24 hours a day.
I don't think anybody does.
Yeah.
That's the problem with the cell phone, especially when you get some creepy ex-girlfriends or something like that.
I know, those creepy ex-girlfriends are always calling me.
All right, let's get back to a couple questions.
Sorry for the detour, folks. It's a natural progression.
See, that's the kind of conversation I like.
Well, sure.
Evan wants to know if a fan has ever creeped you out.
I'll say yes.
Oh, really? Can you share the story?
Well, it's nothing that required, police intervention or anything like that.
Uh-oh.
I think there are people who they are confused by the idea of boundaries.
Yeah.
And again, I mean, and this is the risk you run, and I'm not saying like, oh, I just get mobbed everywhere I go. That's completely not the case, and I'm flattered and honored that anybody wants to come see me and get my autograph and anything like that, because I'm like, really, who are you looking for? But I think sometimes there's a personal space issue.
Yeah.
And I did have someone, I'm trying to remember where it was, but, and usually I'm with some friends, many of them who are men, so I feel somewhat protected. But there's a tendency for people to follow you. And one of them did try to follow me up to my room, and I was like, no, you stay here.
Did you give him an autograph or anything like that, or just?
No, I think I might have, but there's... Nobody, I'm very fortunate. Nobody has said anything overtly like, okay, now somebody needs to intervene and like get them away from me. But people do sometimes get a little close for comfort. And, I'm not a fan of anybody, if I don't know them, I'm not a fan of anybody standing more than, 2 feet. It's like there's a certain circle that you can't enter. And then, and it's hard to, because I don't want to say in cold blood, okay, please leave me alone now. But there's boundary issues, for sure. And I don't think people are aware that they're necessarily doing it. But sometimes people ask me to sign very strange things, and I say,
like what?
Well, I'm not comfortable signing bodies. I'm just not.
That's
and
very
and my
strange.
next thought is, it's it might be permanent ink, but it will wash away eventually. Unless you're going to go get a tattoo, in which case, no, don't do that.
What are you going to run and tell people that?
Well, yeah.
It's
a little, and again, I mean, do whatever you want. I'm a fan of people, whatever makes you happy, but at the same time, if my signature is involved, or if I'm involved in some way that feels inappropriate, I'm like, yeah, no. I think you're going to have to find another way to amuse yourself. But for the most part, my experience has been very lovely and very pleasant.
Well, here's a serious, hard-hitting question. He's one of our members, actually, Solo. He would like to know, were you paid a flat rate role for doing your voice as Fang, or do you have rights and residuals if they were to use your voice again?
If they were to use my voice, how exactly?
Like, say they play a flashback in Lightning Returns with your voice. Do you get anything from that, or is it a one flat rate?
I don't think so. No, it's not a flat rate. That's usually more for people who are aspiring voice actors and they start out doing non-union. Most non-union work is a flat rate. I got paid per session for this game.
Cool.
So for every 4 hours, there is a session fee. If you go over the 4 hours, there's additional, and I think you also get paid the same whether it's 1 to 4 characters, 1 to 3 characters. No, I mean, I think once the game's done, it's at Square Enix's discretion what they want to use, what they don't have to use. I don't think so.
So they
and
own
I'm
the
fine
rights
with it.
to your
That's
voice.
a good question. Yeah.
Their voice is yours now, or theirs.
Something like that.
All right, Ozma would like to know, is there anyone in the future she'd like to work with?
As far as a voice actor or director or project?
Yeah, anything.
I'm so many people. I can't think of anybody specifically, but there are a lot of wonderful game directors who I've been looking forward to working with, and a few that I've very luckily gotten to work with. You name it, I mean, and again, a lot of the times you're recording alone. So in reality, I recorded with Troy Baker and Allie Hillis and Laura Bailey, and, but I don't often get to work with them. Again, anytime I get to work is great. If I get to work in a room with other people, that's awesome. You take your pick. My head's exploding because so many names are popping in, and I don't want to single anybody out or seem unfair, but, hey, Rob Paulson would be nice. Maurice LaMarche would be nice. I could just go on and on.
Bloom.
Steve Bloom, absolutely, who I have met, and he's absolutely lovely, and the voice is just delicious.
Yeah.
My God. I think also voice actors are, I'm attuned to sound. I can't do anything in this world if it's not communication, whether it's visual or audio or what have you, but I'm attuned to lovely sound. So when someone has a great voice, I'm like, wow. And in him just speaking about anything is like, would you just read the phone book? Because that'd be great.
Yeah, right. Cyrus asks, well, I'm not sure how familiar you are with Project Crystallis, but he wants to know, in your opinion, is Project Crystallis doing a good job? Is this something that Square would look at?
I'm enjoying myself so far. I think you guys are doing a good job. I haven't been involved for that long, but I can only assume that by how many followers did you say you have?
We have just over 5,000 petition signatures and almost as many Facebook likes.
I think that's pretty good so far.
About 3-4 months now. Not bad.
And I think that's a lot more than I have on my fan page, and I've had my fan page open for about 3 years. So
well, we'll get you
I'd say you guys are doing pretty good.
Everybody go like her fan page on Facebook.
Yes, it's facebook.com/RRVO1.
I'll do it.
If you so desire, no pressure.
Oh, they will. I know they will. They're already saying they're doing it right now. All right, what else do we have? Oh, and yeah, by the way, we did hear from Square twice. They commented on Type 0. Basically, they gave us that typical business brush-off saying, once we don't feel there's a big enough demand, blah, 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 which means we need to keep on growing.
Well, I think with anything, there is strength in numbers, and
yeah, it's just hard because it was a portable game, and they feel that piracy is going to take away from it because the PSP was so hacked over here.
Oh, okay.
I don't think they're going to make much money off of it.
Was it meant to be released like a regular game, or it was only supposed to be, like you said, portable or online?
It was a PSP title that released in Japan in December of 2010, I believe, or 2011. It's been over a year since it's been over there. And they started the localization process. As far as I know, there's a rumor that they had 90% of the voice acting done, which is pretty much all you need to do. And that was it. And you never heard anything. They won't even comment on it, just like with Versus.
Well, again, yeah, that's tough. I've never actually written to anyone to find out what the story is with stuff like that. I think my feeling is they'll say it if they want to say it. Believe me, when I was waiting to hear if I was going to be working on 13.2, it was like, no, we don't know yet. So, and I don't contact Square. I go through my agent. So it's, my guess, keep plugging away is the best I could say. And that's unfortunately sometimes all you can do. But my feeling is that a lot has been accomplished with more people and with a positive attitude. Yeah. I know that I'm more inclined to help someone or answer something if somebody asks me nicely.
yeah, definitely.
Which I'm sure you guys are doing.
Yeah. Well, we reached out to her voice, her name slips my mind. Allie. We reached out to her too. We're hoping to get her on too.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you can.
And she's lovely. Yeah, I think she's pretty busy, but I think if she has time, she probably would. She's a lovely girl.
Yeah, she seems very nice from the interviews I've seen with her online.
Oh yeah, she's terrific. She's actually, I'm really glad that I got to know her because, again, we're all in the studio at different times, and if you're lucky, it's like the two ships pass and you meet, like, oh my God, it's so great to finally meet you. So I'm glad that I did finally get to meet her and Troy and Georgia, who I still see sometimes. I haven't seen her in a while, and Georgia's wildly busy too. Georgia would be happy to do this, I bet.
Oh, we actually have her scheduled tomorrow at 6 p.m.
Oh, great. Fantastic.
And everybody really, really wants me to try to get you both scheduled at the same time, so we have Fang and Vanille at the same time.
I think that would be so much fun. Georgia's a doll.
Yeah, she seems extremely nice. I don't know how familiar with her history, but she's a very powerful woman too.
She's very powerful. She's incredibly inspiring.
Yeah, definitely.
Just a wonderful, wonderful human being who does a lot of good for a lot of people, and I really admire her.
A lot of heart in that woman.
Yeah. And she's adorable.
Yeah, she is. All right, let's see. We already asked that question. Do you remember any of your Fang lines?
Sure, but people are going to have to come up with the ones that they like because, again, there's so many. There are all these little floating standalones.
Yeah, well, they asked if you had a favorite, but there's so many. There was See, Lightning, I'm not sure if... Do you know Fang's High Wind move? She says something before it. Because I know Allie, she says, like, the storm is here, and I'm no one's slave. I don't know if Fang had one of those or not.
Oh boy, I mean, she had a bunch, and it was always something kind of wise-assy.
Oh, it was eat this.
That's right, it was eat this! And then after she was done, she said, didn't even break a sweat.
There you go. Now it's coming back.
There's something like nice and easy, that's a girl. There were quite a few. Yeah, she was she was always kind of a wise ass, which I liked about her. You know, I'm sort of a wise ass.
Everybody did. I'm happy that she was a woman instead of a man.
Oh, it was fantastic, and I like that. You know, she wasn't a bimbo.
Yeah.
It's too many. I mean, you see in a lot of games, there's like they're tiny little body and ginormous boobs, which defy gravity, and you know any normal human being would fall over. And a lot of times they just don't seem to know what's up.
Yeah, there's a lot of all of us Final Fantasy fans talk about that a lot. There was actually a lot of backlash when they decided to use Sarah in 13.2 because of that same reason. She's so small, and nobody really wanted to play as her. And it was a shame that they didn't bring back Lightning. They threw her on the cover of 13.2, but you don't even play as her. And there's no Fang.
She wasn't a playable character, was she?
Who, Lightning?
Yeah.
That's where not a lot of other fan revolt came from. They released a downloadable content where you could play as her, and it only lasted for about 30 minutes. But in the entire game, no, you could not play as her.
Okay.
She was just in cutscenes.
I mean, was it just her? Was it just her, or was it her and Noel?
Yeah, it was just Sarah and Noel. That's all you could play as. And then you could play as a monster. You could recruit different monsters to play as the third-party member.
Oh, I see. And could you play as Caius, or he was just the villain?
Yeah, just the villain.
But how about that voice? How about that Liam O'Brien?
I'd love to have him on as well.
God, his voice too. And again, and then I don't know if I'm qualified at this point in life to do anything else other than what I do. I just I love it so much. But I mean, and it's also such a joy listening to everybody else.
They probably had him to replace your voice because your voice is like everybody's favorite.
Well, that's lovely. I mean, and it was fun. I love that she. It wasn't that much of a stretch for me, which isn't me saying, oh, I'm so good. I mean, I had to hang on to the accent, but I like that I didn't have to stretch much. I love playing characters, and I love pushing myself, but I also like playing a character that's sort of a different version of me.
Yeah.
And so that I don't have to strain too much. And of course, hey, I mean, I'm always up for a challenge, but again, it's fun to go in there and kind of just be a different version of yourself. But
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. I haven't had a chance to even play 13.2, and again, I've seen some of the cutscenes, and it looks absolutely beautiful.
Actually, it didn't look as good as the first one. That was another.
Oh, it didn't?
No, everybody was a little upset because they rushed it out so quick, and everybody was expecting Versus to come out. What's that?
It didn't seem that quick to me.
Yeah, it was only a year. We're used to waiting. We've been waiting for Versus for 6 years, and to have a Final Fantasy game come out within a year is...
Oh, I didn't realize that Versus was that long. I think, wasn't 13, that was about 3 years in the making?
Yeah, but they announced 13, Versus 13, and Type 0 the same day. And now 13's had its game and a sequel, and now another sequel, and that's why we're so upset.
That's a great question. I mean, I hope for your sake, and now at this point, I'm intensely curious. I'd like to see what comes of it.
Hey, there's actually another Dragoon girl in there. Looks a little bit similar to Fang.
Oh, so yeah, I have seen some Fang cosplayers, and some of them are pretty darn amazing. And they've got the details down, and the Dragoon lance is pretty spectacular. I mean, I'm so fascinated by cosplay. I don't do it myself because I'm not sartorially crafty, and I also just don't have the patience. I would rather see other people do it. And also, I'm a little bit lazy. If I do it, I want it to be very simple and very comfortable.
Yeah. For every good cosplay, there's about 5 terrible ones.
There's some pretty bad cosplay, but the good cosplay is sort of mind-blowing. And, there's no place like Comic-Con for that. I mean, Comic-Con is a zoo. And
I've actually never been, so I don't know how crazy it can be over there.
Well, that's the first con of any kind that I ever went to. So I will say that after that, everything else seems sort of tame.
Yeah, definitely.
It is literally an ocean of people everywhere you go. And there's some spectacular cosplay. And I'm now, now that I'm playing more games, now that I'm watching more shows and animes, I'm proud that I'm able to recognize more. But half the stuff I see, I'm like, I have no idea where that's from. Some of it may be obvious, some of it may be really obscure. But that's what I like. People are so devoted to these characters, and I love the dedication that goes in. And I love that it creates a sense of community.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, since we started this in our Twitch stream, we've made so many new friends and followers, and it's great, all for one game. It's pretty crazy how...
And I like how many aspects there are to this, and that's what's nice about, these are different aspects of voice acting that I hadn't experienced up to a certain point. And I love that, getting to participate in these things just sort of expands my world a little bit too.
Yeah. Batman wanted to know if you have any favorite protagonists or superheroes.
A protagonist. Well, let's see. You mean just from anything?
Yeah. I'm sure you had a childhood superhero, as we all do.
Well, who didn't love Wonder Woman? And Isis. I always thought Isis was so cool. Oh, mighty Isis!
Yeah.
There were so many. There was kind of a dearth of really strong female characters growing up. I mean, I did like Superman. He was pretty earnest. But I had also my favorite character. I loved Huckleberry Hound, and I loved Snagglepuss.
Man, I miss those.
He was sort of a dandy.
Yeah.
I mean,
I've got Mighty Mouse too.
Mighty Mouse was great. Mighty Mouse was. He was also very earnest. Who did I love from the Disney movies? I loved the Blue Fairy, Pinocchio.
Yeah.
And I loved, and I will say, even though she's an out-and-out villain, I loved Medusa from The Rescuers. She was just so unapologetically evil. And of course, you wanted her to fail. But, and I loved Bernard and Bianca from that. I just could go on and on. Again, head exploding.
Yeah. I know that question. They want to know if you've ever dressed up as Fang. That's a no.
I have not. But if this appeases in any way, I actually have considered it. A friend of mine had said you should go on one of those. Like, just get a Fang costume, because there are places that will, they will custom make one for you they'll specify it to your measurements. And apparently the material is really high quality. I just don't know if I'd like to. But I have thought about it.
Overly revealing, but yeah.
No, well, it isn't even so much that. I have a strange sort of it just seems weird. It's like when you wear, if you're in a band and you wear your own band's T-shirt or something.
Yeah, I've never done. I could never do.
It just feels a little weird.
Yeah, it would be difficult.
It would be strange. For me.
Have you auditioned for any movies recently? Or
any movies? I mean, I audition fairly frequently. I don't think I've auditioned for any movies, but I audition for a lot of commercials. I audition for series. I audition for games. That's pretty steady.
Oh, good.
But we're just sort of now getting back into the new year. Things always tend to die down around Christmas time, and there's like a 2 to 3 week period where it's pretty slow. But things are picking up.
Oh, good.
And there are some good projects coming out this year, but none of them I am allowed to talk about. Sworn to secrecy and silence, and a drop of blood in a vial.
And then they hack our Skype and shut it down.
Something like that.
Like last time.
I honestly thought, I was like, uh-oh, did I really just do something bad? I was like, I didn't say anything, I swear.
The timing was just like perfect too. That's what's
it was perfect and kind of eerie.
Yeah. We got some other general questions about did you have a dream job as a child? Batman wanted to know.
Did I have a dream job?
Are you already living it?
What's that?
Are you already living your dream job?
I am, actually. And again, this was something that I always wanted to do, and at the same time, it didn't really occur to me that I could start right then. It was something that had always brought me happy. Actually, what I wanted to be for a while was an artist. I was a fine artist for years, and I still do art from time to time. Painting, drawing, sculpting, colored pencils, chalk, charcoal. I drew on anything I could get my hands on, which would include walls. And my mom would say, I'll get you paper. You don't have to draw on the walls. I write as well.
Just have you paint the rooms.
Yeah, exactly. I took classical piano for years. I'm a classically trained pianist, although I don't have an access to a piano now. Anything and everything that has to do with art and communication. But I would say this is pretty much it. When I think about and I'm not saying that every day is rainbows and unicorns and chocolate popcorn, but when I think about other jobs that I have had, I've worked in retail, I've worked in hospitality, I've worked in food service, I've done, I've answered telephones, I've schlepped people's dry cleaning, I've done, boring errands and been browbeaten and yelled at for stupid things. I think, on the slowest day in what I'm doing now, it's still a million times better than any of that stuff.
Yeah, I bet. Are you currently doing any more work in any Japanese style animes or games? Or is that's kind of a broad question, right?
It's a broad question. Nothing currently, no.
Oh.
Although there are, periodically, outside my agency, obviously I have other relationships, so it's nice that I have access to other projects or access to audition for other projects, but at the moment, no.
Well, that's our list of questions.
Great. Have I answered them thoroughly and articulately and hopefully not too cagily?
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, we have a couple more, but I've just been sifting through them, and I know everybody here is extremely happy. Your Facebook has shot up over 60 additional likes since we first talked about it.
Thanks, you guys.
So anybody here in chat, you guys should post a link to that, and let's get it up even more, because we have far more viewers than that.
I was going to say, yeah, and I will certainly be happy to keep spreading the word. I hope you do get Allie. It's funny that I mentioned Georgia, and she's coming tomorrow. Maybe I'll call in tomorrow. Honestly, she's just wonderful.
Yeah.
And if you want to try and get us on together, I'd be more than happy to try and figure that out.
Definitely. Maybe that might be too hard to set up. Maybe you guys could set up.
No, I don't want to bogart her time.
You what?
I said I don't want to bogart her time, but if we want to schedule something where the two of us can be on together, I'm sure we'd be more than happy to coordinate that.
Actually, here's a good question. If somebody made you a Fang cosplay, would you wear that? Then you wouldn't even have to buy
really,
it.
really well, and if it looked really, really good, I might. I don't really. I look like Fang moderately, but she can pull that off better than I can. I might just for the fun of it.
Did you already mention your favorite Disney movie? Wait, no, you did. You briefly touched on it.
Again, I have so many, but what's my favorite Disney movie? Oh, I love The Fox and the Hound too. No, I don't have a favorite. I have groups of favorites. It's too hard for me. I'm one of those people who I'm always sort of like picking right in the middle because unless it's something really specific. No, I don't have one favorite. But I do like older Disney movies.
Older Disney movies?
Yeah.
I don't know who made it, but the movie with Feifel. I know Feifel Goes West, but the original.
American Tail. American Tail.
That's probably my favorite animated movie ever.
You know what? I have to admit, I never saw it.
Really? I don't know who made that.
No.
I forget.
I'm not sure. Maybe it was Don Bluth. I could be wrong about that. I don't think it was a Disney film, though.
Yeah, I know it was a Disney film.
I'm a little ashamed of myself. I feel like I should know my animators a bit better, but that one, because I never saw it, I just can't remember.
Are you familiar with Kingdom Hearts?
I am somewhat.
Ah, there's Disney and Square.
Exactly. Oh, I think I've even read for one of those. That would be. I think the crossover stuff is great. I think it's
sad
so
because they made a couple comments that they're going to be taking more and more Final Fantasy out of it to the point where there's not going to be any more Final Fantasy, and that's a shame.
That is a shame. I think those worlds go very well together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we want Fang in there.
Well, just think of all the opportunities you could have to pair Fang against other, Disney villains or whatever. I think the opportunities are endless. I am amused by some of that crossover stuff. Some of it doesn't work, but I would say, yeah, I like that idea.
Yeah, that's another Kingdom Hearts 3 that's been held up because Square said that they won't release that game until Versus is released. And it's just on and on.
But they are going to release it at some point, right?
They won't say a thing. they won't even say that, but we know that Kingdom Hearts 3 is going to come out, obviously. But like, a lot of people think that Versus was canceled. But a lot of people feel that it's going to be renamed to Final Fantasy XV. Or,
That's entirely possible. Wasn't there a 14 too?
Yeah, the 14 is the new online one.
Okay.
That's their current
And that's out.
flumber. Well, they released it, and then everybody essentially hated it, and they had to go back and redo it all, and it's just now coming back out in the next month or two. Finally, it failed big time. They lost a lot of money on it, and that's why we were all worried about Versus.
God, so many projects. It's hard to
that's
keep.
another thing. We want them to stop making so many projects. Just finish one at a, just be moderate. We don't need 15 going at once.
Well, I sure hope that Versus comes out, because I'm just dying to see what, if it's been anticipated for this long, now I have to see what's going on with it.
Yeah. Are you familiar with Kotaku?
I am.
They're actually the last people that got them to say anything. In my belief, they posted an article that said there was a rumor that Versus was canceled, and I feel like they probably made that rumor up, and that Square did reply to it, and they said it wasn't. This was almost a year and a half ago now, but that's the last real Versus news we had, was them saying it was not canceled.
Well, then hang on to that. Hopefully, I feel like if it was, they would maybe say something. But again, I can't speculate. I don't know anything. I basically am about as ignorant as I say I am, as far as that stuff is concerned.
I think there's just going to be confusion. They probably don't want to bring the limelight away from, Lightning Returns and 13.2.
Sure.
So, I don't know.
Do they have a release date for that?
Lightning Returns?
Mm-hmm.
It should be the end of this year. So.
Oh, okay.
If
the
you're
end
doing
of
voice
this year.
acting in it, it'll probably be a very tight schedule.
Honestly, again, I know nothing. I know absolutely nothing. But I've seen the trailer for it, and it looked interesting. But again, it never said. It didn't even. I don't think it had a release year in there. So I just knew that it was something was coming.
It's this year. It'll be October in Japan, but probably here in January, February. So I don't know how fast they can do translations and voice acting. Like, how long did a project like 13 take?
Well, let's see. I think I started recording that in May of 2010. And we were done, May of 2009. Yeah, I can't count. May of 2009, and I think, we went for a few months, and then we took a break, and then came back, and then we did pickups, I want to say, just a handful of pickups in November, and then it was out the following March. So, yeah, I think the recording can go fairly late, but certainly not 11th hour.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess you're coming up on next 4 months. You'd have to start, I guess.
Like I said, I don't know. That would be awesome if I got that call.
I'm trying to get something out of you.
You can't, because it isn't there.
Oh yeah, I know you told me that they had.
I'm as hopeful as you guys are.
They have not contacted her at this time.
What's that? There's been no contact. There's not even speculation on anyone's end. It would be like me going, Universe guy, will I get a call?
Yeah.
So
she doesn't even know if Fang's in it, but as of this moment, she has not been contacted to voice act for Fang.
Nope, there's been no contact. All I know about Final Fantasy XIII-3 is that it's called Lightning Returns, and that I've seen the trailer, and that is where my knowledge ends.
Yeah, it doesn't even have a 13.3 in it. It's just Lightning Returns.
Right. I'm just using it for, numerical reference, basically.
Yeah, we all call it 13.3. Or we just call it LR.
That's what they were calling. At least in every article that I read when I was, trying to troll for information, that's what they were calling it. And the official title came out, so.
Yeah. Well, I thank you so much for coming on and speaking with us.
My pleasure. Sorry about all the actual technical difficulties before.
Oh, no, don't worry about it. I go through them all the time. People see me fumble. I use 2 computers when I'm streaming, so...
I use two computers as well, and thank God I have an extra one, because just in case one of them screws up, at least I have backup. But unfortunately, I think they both need to be replaced.
Yeah, I'm actually going to start building my own. Yeah, thank you. I want to get you on with Vanille.
That would be fantastic.
Maybe we can surprise chat and not even announce it, and then you guys can just start talking.
Maybe so. But when you do have her on tomorrow, please tell her that I said hello.
Yeah, for sure. I will tell her that, and if you're online tomorrow, maybe we can add you at some point, maybe.
Only if you like. Like I said, I don't want to bogart her time because I don't like stepping on anybody else's toes. But if I'm around and she's up for it, great.
All right. Maybe you could give us a plug for Allie to come on too.
I would, if you want me to pass the word along. You've already contacted her, right?
Yeah, I contacted her the same way I did you, but I have not heard back. And I know she's probably in the middle of a lot right now. So
she works a lot, and she does a lot of on-camera stuff. So I know that she's pretty busy. But I will definitely see what I can do.
All right, that'd be awesome. Well, thank you, and I will be in contact.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me on, and I appreciate everybody waiting so patiently and listening to me ramble and yammer and babble.
I'd love to talk about a lot of that conspiracy stuff sometime.
Yeah, I could go on and on. I mean, I'm a talker. That's why I decided I might as well try and get paid for it because I'm not going to shut up anyway. So.
Yeah, me either. Well, everybody in the chat is saying goodbye. You're getting tons and tons of thank yous. And
I wish I could see everybody's messages. My Safari and Firefox it's the whole browser thing is just a loss. But I believe you, and I'd say thank you to everybody, and goodbye as well.
Give him one more Fang. I don't know what line we should do, but
go on alone. Get stronger. Smash Cocoon out of the sky.
There we go. That's a good one.
It would be much louder in the studio, but I have to remember my neighbors.
Yeah.
So.
And everybody, go like her Facebook. And
yes, and you can follow me on Twitter as well. It's Rachel Robinson Voice.
I'll do a post with both of your pages on our page right after we get off.
Great.
All right.
Thank you so much, Chris. It was great talking with you.
Thank you, Rachel. Have a good night.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.